actively engages in projects that merges exploration with immersive experiences, such as our volunteer work at virtualmoon.space and research on space architecture, where she has helped others visualize lunar landscapes through VR technologies. As a public relation manager at Luna, right? She believes public image and stakeholder relations increase visibility and public engagement. Our work is rooted in a belief that discovery is not just about the future, but about expanding present realities through bold imagination and practical application. Right. With a round of applause, I would love us to throw our emojis up and welcome Pristine Fulgence. And most importantly, for us to just say one of few things to say hello to the audience before I move on to introduce the next speaker. Pristine, you want to say hi to the people?
Wow. Thank you, Francis. Hi, everyone. As already said, my name is Pristine, and I'm so excited to be here and also to share everything that I have with you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Pristine. Yeah. So I'll be introducing next Benedetta Facini. Right. I hope she's on the call. Right. So she's an astronaut candidate for Titan Space Industries. In 2022, she began intensive training and participated in experiences around the world, pushing a limit through IGs and zero-G flights, training with pressurized spacesuits, and testing missions in advanced simulators. In 2024, she took part in an analog mission called Luna 1 at the Analog Astronaut Training Center in Poland. During the mission, she spent a week in total isolation, conducting experiments on seed germination under simulated lunar conditions. She's also a science communicator and regular hosts webinars for students around the world, inspiring younger generations through educational outreach and space science communication. With a round of applause, I also want us to welcome Benedetta Facini all the way from Italy, as she's joining us for the last webinar. I don't know if Benedetta is here with us to say hello to these people. All right, hi, Benedetta, hi.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, hi. I can't wait to share my experience with all of you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Benedetta. Yeah, all right. So now I'll be moving on to Eglah Nywage. Right. So before I introduce the last person, she's also from Tanzania, and she's an aerospace engineer with experience in avionics system, satellite communication, and aircraft maintenance. She has worked as a research assistant in aerospace department, where she contributed to the design of a low-cost avionics system that improved reliability while reducing cost of CubeSats. Currently, working in aircraft maintenance organization in Tanzania, she has applied data-driven approaches to aircraft maintenance and operational systems. She is the founder of Girls, Children, and Youth Foundation, GCYF, where she promotes STEM education for girls and is actively exploring AI-driven learning systems for aerospace education and community development, right? So I want us also, with joy and also with applause of emojis, to also welcome Eglah here in our midst from Tanzania. Eglah, I don't know if you are here to say hello to the people.
Yes, she just joined. Maybe introduce her again, please.
Oh, she just joined. Oh, okay. All right, so welcome, Eglah from Tanzania. So Eglah is an aerospace engineer with experience in avionics systems, satellite communication, and aircraft maintenance. She has worked as a research assistant in aerospace department, where she contributed to the design of a low-cost avionics system that improved reliability while reducing cost of CubeSats. Currently working in aircraft maintenance organization in Tanzania, where she applies data-driven approaches to aircraft maintenance and operational system. She's the founder of Girls, Children, and Youth Foundation, GCYF, where she promotes STEM education for girls and is actively exploring AI-driven learning systems for aerospace education and community development, right? I would love all of us with our emojis to actually welcome Eglah from Tanzania to our midst. Eglah, I don't know if you're here to say hi to the people. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be joining all of you today. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. All right. So our last speaker for today, that will be Kelly. Right. So Kelly Keodara is a global communication strategist working in deep tech, aerospace, and digital literacy. She blends social media expertise with a grounded um, understanding of how technology shapes and sometimes disrupts the way we learn and communicate. Her recent work brought her to the NASA Artemis 2 launch. Where she focused on translating complex science for the general public and witnessed how misinformation can easily fill the gaps when clarity is missing. Today, Kelly speaks and advises on the growing misalignment between AI-generated information and the real-world truths, and why this conversation must include not only the younger generation consuming AI content, but also the generation building it. Our mission is to help leaders and organizations communicate with clarity, responsibility, and purpose in an era where information is abundant, but understanding is fragile, right? So that is Kelly for us from the United States of America. I think Kelly has something she actually have to share with us. And I think I'll be sharing that with us shortly. Yeah, because, okay. Please confirm when you can see my screen.
All
Can
clear.
you all see this?
Yes, all clear.
We can see it.
Okay. All right. Is the video playing now?
Yes. Yes, it is. There's no audio.
Can you hear the audio?
No,
Were
I
you
can't.
able to hear the audio? Yes or no?
No, no audio.
All right. Okay, I think we'll just proceed for now. I think I will figure out how to sort out the audio for Kelly and later on. Yeah, so I think that's it for which now speakers on to us. So it's glad to have each and every one of you on this particular webinar. And we're going to have a nice time together to share our visions and the ideas we have around AI and space education. So right about now, I think we'll be moving on to the first segment of this particular webinar, right? And that will be handled more like Natasha. Natasha, over to you. Hi, Natasha.
Can you guys hear me?
Not that clear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay, perfect. Big thumbs up for that. Thank you so much, Francis, for introducing our lovely panelists. And we thank you so much for your time, as you had said. So now that we've met our incredible panelists, let's dive into a conversation about the future of AI, space innovation, and the responsibility of shaping knowledge in a rapidly changing world. So this question is for all speakers. So each of you works at an intersection of space, AI, communication, and public engagement in very different ways. What inspired your journey field, and what moment made you realize the impact your work could have? May you kindly mute your audio, please? For those that aren't speakers, may you kindly just mute? So the first question goes to Pristine. What inspired your journey into this field, and what moment made you realize the impact your work could have on society?
Thank you so much, Natasha. Firstly, I can really hear you from afar. I had to put my phone on my ear to hear you. But I'll answer your question. My journey began with a fascination for how technology can transform lives, especially in communities that have historically had limited access to advanced learning opportunities. Growing up in Tanzania, I saw immense talent and curiosity among young people. But again, I also saw some barriers to accessing high quality STEM and space education here in Tanzania. Now, again, what inspired me most about AI and space in education is the ability to remove those barriers. Like through my work as a Virtual Moon ambassador, I have seen how immersive technologies can allow a student who may never visit a space center or advanced laboratory to experience the moon, explore scientific concepts, and imagine themselves as part of humanity's future in space. Now, the moment I realized the true impact of this work was when I understood that we are not like simply teaching um, science, we are expanding possibilities. You know, when a young person experiences a virtual lunar environment and begins to see themselves as an engineer or scientist or explorer, um, that changes how they think about their future. So AI and immersive learning have the potential to democratize inspiration on a global scale. And you're all going to see it in the presentation that we have. So that's it.
Thank you so much, Pristine, for your response. I would like to take it up to the next speaker. Eglah, are you here with us? I hope you can all hear me now.
Yes, Engineer
Yeah,
Natasha.
sure. Maybe.
Awesome. Okay. Okay, thank you. Eglah, may you kindly answer the question?
All right. So, for me, I wouldn't go so far from where Pristine has just started. And I think this is the problem of coming second or being the last. But what actually brought me to the field was the fascination. Sometimes you look at the sky and then you start thinking, like, what's holding it up? And then there is a lot of scientific views and even spiritual views to it. But then I came to the realization when I was in high school that there are people, I mean, there is a pathway to actually learn about space education, space technologies, and aerospace vehicles. Then I was like, wow, this sounds fun. Then if it can be done, how do these people actually know? I remember there was this one time, 2011, we had like a total lunar eclipse in my country, and I was like, it was broadcasted even before it happened. So I was just having a lot of questions. So there are people who actually know about these predictions. How? And if there are tools, how are those tools operated? Then I think that sparkled up an interest to become an engineer and to just want to know more and see how can space be useful for humanity. And I think a lot of sci-fi movies also helped me to pull closer to that dream of saying, yeah, it can be done and it can be studied. And then, yes, I ended up finding myself in this career journey, and it has been amazing.
Absolutely. I loved how you said it can be done. It can
Yeah.
absolutely be done. What about you, Benedetta? Astronaut Benny, may you please answer the question? Thank you.
Hello, my inspiration comes from my experience as a child because when I was a child, starting my dream about becoming an astronaut, answer them, or so I what it means having too many questions but being alone. So I started my science communicator project so I can help kids and students with my same dream, but I want to make them easy to access some information and support because I really know what it means being alone without help. So I hope to be able to inspire and guide as many kids and students as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that response.
Thank
You know, being alone and not having mentors or people to guide you can be challenging. So thank you for your response. Francis, I believe that you have Kelly's video here, so you can play her response to the question.
All right, let's see. Let's see if confirm the media the sound comes up now. Sound up?
Can everybody else hear Kelly's video?
No, I can't hear.
Okay, it's fine, Francis. We will work on that.
Yeah, all right, all right.
We'll work on that. But thank you for that. So we will go on to the next question. As AI and emerging technologies rapidly shape the future of space exploration and public understanding, what do you believe are the biggest opportunities and the biggest risks for the next generation? My question goes to Eglah.
Pardon me, Natasha.
Yes, Eglah?
Yes, my internet was a little bit trippy. Can you come again? I
Okay,
lost you in the middle.
okay, no problem. So the question is a general question for all speakers, and it says, as AI and emerging technologies rapidly shape the future of space exploration and public understanding, what do you believe are the biggest opportunities and the biggest risks for the next generation?
Oh, all right. So I think most of us who are joining could be having a little bit of background of what AI is, and I think we are all concerned about the replacement. I will start with the risk, like we are going to be replaced by machines, and then the biggest concern as a person in tech is the ethical consideration, but then there is like a brighter side to it. And in here, I know the other speakers will also touch base on this, but for me personally, I think the biggest opportunity is democratization because AI is already making space data, research data, and innovation more accessible than ever before. So it allows us, even like as a young professional, to contribute to solutions in different aspects of life, be it agriculture, be it climate monitoring, education, and so many others, even disaster management. So I think the biggest risk will be in like widening its inequality, because now we are already having like that technology gap to bridge between this generation, the dot-com generation, and the other generation. But we have an opportunity to do democratization of this technology.
Absolutely. Such a great answer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And what about you, Pristine? What do you believe are the biggest opportunities and risks for the next generation?
Well, for me, the biggest opportunity is access. And how I explain that is AI can make world-class education available to anyone with a device and connectivity. Well, if you can exclude a country because of the internet, but still, through projects let's say, like Virgin One, I'm sorry, I have to list. I have to give myself an opportunity. A project like Virgin One and the future Lunar Academy virtual labs, students will be able to like learn complex topics such as gravity, astrobiology, robotics, and so on. Experiences that will be guided by AI instructors, in which another opportunity what I am thinking is personalization. Like every student learns differently, and AI can adapt educational experiences to individual learning styles or making education more effective and engaging. But as Eglah said, in terms of the risks, is that I think there'll be digital divide as a risk for that. And if we do not ensure equitable access of it, sorry. Yeah. So once something happened. And as you said, the things that we are thinking that it's going to be replaced and all, that also, but the challenge for the next generation to build AI systems that are ethical, inclusive, transparent, and focused on empowering people rather than simply automating tasks.
That's a great response, because you know how people that are into, manual work, they feel like they're going to get replaced by this whole AI thing. So I love how you explained and elaborated more on that. So
Yeah.
we won't get replaced as such, but it's more of an add-on to our learning and our working experience. And what about you, Benny? What do you think are the biggest opportunities and the biggest risks for the next generation?
I think
Benedetta,
that
did you hear
they
me?
are very connected because have a lot of opportunities with AI. Yeah, can you hear me?
There was a
Can you hear
lag,
me?
but I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion, the benefits and the risks are connected because I work with kids and students at school, and I see that they have very fast answers to their questions, but at the same time, this AI is very risky because they rely only on AI and they almost don't care about an opinion or an answer from a professional, a human, and they only see an answer on a technical level and not but based on experience because AI cannot mm, tell its experience because it's not human. So I think it's quite dangerous for kids because they don't think about the human part of space and education. This is very I see this problem every day that increases every day because every day I go to school, I answer a question to our kids about what do you think about astronauts on space? What are their emotions and feelings? And they are not able to answer about emotion because they don't consider them, because AI is not able to teach an emotion. So this is the biggest problem. Yes, AI makes answers very fast and easy, but at the same time, they don't consider the human factor.
Thank you so much, Benny, for that. You're absolutely right, because I've also noticed, when we interact with a different generation, there's a focus on, getting the results. It's not about, what they think. They feel like those things are not important. So the fact that you highlighted that shows that there is a change in the way technology is being used. So it's very important to see what's happening in the near future with the next generation. So that was a great answer. Francis, may you please try Kelly's video one more time to the question?
The biggest opportunity is access. For the first time, individuals and small teams can accomplish things that previously required the resources of governments or major institutions. And AI is accelerating research, reducing barriers to entry, helping us process vast amounts of data, and enabling innovation at a speed we have never seen before. In space, this means faster discoveries, more efficient missions, and better Earth observation capabilities, and so forth. But beyond the technology itself, I think the greatest opportunity is human potential. AI has the ability to free us from repetitive tasks and create more space for what humans do best, and that is creativity, critical thinking, empathy, imagination, and vision. And at the same time, the biggest risk is assuming that technology itself is the answer. So AI is incredibly powerful, but it is not wisdom. It is not judgment. It is not ethics. It's not human experience. So one of the lessons that I've learned through my own work is that speed and accuracy are not the same thing. We can generate information faster than ever before, but that doesn't mean we automatically generate understanding. So if we stop questioning, verifying, and thinking critically, we risk creating a future where misinformation travels faster than the truth. And I often say that AI should be treated as a co-pilot, not the pilot. And the next generation will need technical skills, absolutely. But even more importantly, they will need human skills. They will need curiosity, adaptability, communication, ethical reasoning, and just the ability to distinguish information from insight. And the future belongs to those who can combine both worlds, the power of technology and the wisdom of humanity. And if we can do that, then AI and emerging technologies won't replace human potential. They will amplify it, and that is where I believe the real opportunity lies.
Absolutely. So please let us engage our minds. Let us, let's not stop being curious, because AI is unable to replace that part of, the human aspect. So, what she said was truly, truly important. Don't forget to always stay curious, try to be well informed and knowing what innovations are needed in the future, because there's that what do you call it, that disconnect between AI and human beings. So we really need to stay informed and stay curious in everything that we do. And then we're going to go to the third question, which is, how can we make space and advanced technology feel more inclusive and relevant to ordinary communities, especially young people and girls? So, Pristine, you can answer that question.
Wow, this is the consequence of being first. Um, so the first step that I think is making space relatable. So space is not only about rockets and astronauts. It is connected to everyday life through communication, agriculture, climate monitoring, and disaster management and education, definitely. So we also need to move beyond simply telling young people about science and instead allowing them to experiencing it. So for girls in particular, representation matters. That's at least what I think. We need more visible role models, mentors, or opportunities that will show these young women like me and everyone else, women, they belong in STEM, AI, and the space sector. When girls see people like themselves leading innovation, they're more likely to imagine themselves in those roles. So ultimately, you can say inclusion begins with accessibility. If a child in a rural village can access the same inspiring educational experience as a student in a major city, then we are moving in the right direction.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Pristine, for that. Having those role models like you, inspiring the next generation of, future astronauts, future engineers, that's extremely important when it comes to helping, the girl child and as well as the boy child in pursuing STEM related fields. Benedetta, what about you? What's your response to making space and advanced technology feel more inclusive and relevant to ordinary communities, especially young people and girls?
I am trying to create role models and people to follow and take inspiration from. I'm a woman, I'm a girl, I'm a normal person. I'm not special, I'm not amazing. So I'm trying to show people and young women that even if you are not super make your dream come true, even if you are not super rich or if you don't go to a very important school, you can do everything in your little town, in your bedroom. I did everything from my bedroom. I'm not special. I'm a normal person, so I try to show kids and young women that they can do everything they want, even but they only have to try it, focus on their goal, and trying to make their wish and dream come true, even if people say that it's impossible because you are too young or if you're a woman. I tell them to not listen to people trying to destroy their dream, and they only have to focus on their goal, on their path, and they have to put all their energy in what they do, and they will have a lot of success. Like I did. I'm normal, but I focus on my dream, and now I am a astronaut candidate. So I'm trying to be a role model or an inspiration from kids and young women. This is my goal. Even if maybe one day I will go to space. I will I don't know. I will shoot a video to send on Earth to young women saying, "Hey, I'm a normal person from Italy. Everything started from my bedroom, but now I'm in space. So you can do it too." Like I said before, I didn't not have a role model or a guide, but I did everything by myself. So if you focus on your goal, you can do it.
Absolutely. I loved how you mentioned how, you can be an ordinary person. Some people, they're not connected. They don't know a lot of people in their circle, but it is possible to become an astronaut candidate like yourself and many others out there, just being focused on your goals and what it is that you want in your life. So thank you for highlighting that. What about you, Eglah? What is your response to that? And then we will have Kelly's video after that.
Oh, thank you so much. So, sorry. Um, for me, I think that communication is so much essential. And where do I go with this? we are already talking about how can we increase like accessibility and make it more inclusive. I love what Pristine said about how people can just like the moment you hear space, you feel like it's all about satellites, it's all about the big things, but maybe all of us can observe that in this panel we have people of different caliber, from space educators, from like engineers and tech people, so and communication people. This is telling you that even if I am so good at making my systems, I still need, or designing a system, I still need people who can train on how that system can be used. I need people who can do the maintenance. I need people who can like, it takes each and everyone. So I am a girl child and I've been advocating for women in STEM, yes, but I feel like I've been empowered to a point that you start hating that empowerment that you have gotten, because I find myself alone most of the time. Like even at my workspace, we are like two ladies who are like, it's like a wool maintenance unit, but then engineers is just like two girls, and then the rest of the girls are sitting in the office. So even if few of us have gotten to that space of being able to work as engineers in such area, it still feels like we are not welcomed there. So I would like to start by saying we need to find a way we can increase more communication and accessibility, because these are like central to the work that we do along like the aerospace and space industry. So because we can do a lot, we can do the engineering, we can do storytelling like what we are doing now, we can do education. And this is what I'm even like, I was so surprised when Christine told me about Luna, because I was like, oh, so in Africa there is actually an organization that is so much interested about making sure that space education is getting to each and everyone in the world. I was so much impressed. So either it's VR experience, either it's through school science outreach or anything, we can try to make space and advanced technology feel more inclusive and relevant, even to ordinary communities. So for instance, I come from agro-pastoral communities. Growing up, I've seen my grandparents owning farms, owning cattle, and then there are things that I didn't understand then. I was just a child. The weather patterns that used to affect our crops, our yields, and even our animal health. I didn't know that, okay, through space technology, then we could do maybe earth observation, we could do crop monitoring. So if we want to actually make this space education and space tech more accessible to our communities, especially like the African communities or wherever that we come from, so that people can actually relate to it, I think we should come with technologies or solutions that are actually relevant to these ordinary communities. So for instance, in my case, I would think about how can we use space, technologies then for crop monitoring or earth observation, disaster management and stuff like those, or even for like agricultural purposes. So it doesn't have to feel distance, or it doesn't have to feel expensive. It doesn't have to feel irrelevant for someone to think, okay, I'm not an engineer, I'm just a business person. I'm not an engineer, I'm just, a farmer. And for the young people, I think our case is just simple. We just need to understand that space can solve real challenges in our community. So I would add there is a lot of A's. I think to sum up, I would just say the three A's are accessibility, affordability, and adaptability. Like our communities should not be left behind these kind of technologies, but transition with it. And then I would add that we need to make space technologies feel more visible and inclusive. I love, like, recently we even got invited to watch the Artemis 2 launch. And I was like, yeah, this is nice. If we are able to actually see things can happen, then that means we can also imagine that it could also be possible to us. And as Benny said, opportunities should also be increased for both women, girls, and young professionals, so that girls, when they see opportunities to become an astronaut, they can think, okay, it's possible, I can become one. And then also, I think we need to, it shouldn't be about empowerment. We should also create environment for those empowered people, because now we are talking about the young people, girls and women, but then when they reach those places, they don't find their chairs. Like, okay, you're so much empowered, but then the environment is not also conducive to take you in. So that's my take.
That was amazing, Eglah. And I love how women out there have similar experiences. So the fact that you shared and pointed that out, it just shows that we're not, alone, creating environments that would be able to help the girl child thrive, because, it's always about empowerment, helping them, but there has to be things or systems implemented that would actually benefit them, help them develop new skills. By the way, even though we're talking about the girl child, we shouldn't also neglect the boy child as well, because education is important for both genders. So, just learning how to incorporate them into the system, and also learning how to involve them and not exclude them. Because like you said, sometimes you can be the only female, or you're just with one other person who's a female, and the environment may be quite disturbing, especially in a male-dominated field. So thank you so much for sharing. And now we are going to hear from Kelly. I will just repeat question 3 again, which is, how can we make space and advanced technology feel more inclusive and relevant to ordinary communities, especially young people and girls? So we'll hear Kelly's response.
Communication and accessibility are at the heart of everything I do, because I truly believe that people cannot aspire to be what they cannot see, and they cannot engage with what they do not understand. So for a long time, space and advanced technologies have been presented as something distant, as has been said before, something reserved for astronauts, scientists, engineers, or people with highly technical backgrounds. But the reality is that space and AI are already touching our lives every single day. They influence how we communicate, navigate, monitor our planet, respond to disasters, etc. So the question is not, how do we make space relevant? The question is, how do we help people realize that it already is? I think we need to stop leading with the technology and start leading more with the human story. So, for example, instead of talking about satellites, we can talk about how they help firefighters respond to wildfires. Instead of talking about Earth observation, we can talk about protecting our oceans and our forests. Instead of talking about AI models, we can talk about empowering people to work smarter and solve problems faster. Because, in the end, people connect with purpose before they connect with technology. And for young people, especially for girls, representation also matters enormously. So when a young girl sees a female founder building a space company, or a scientist leading a mission, or seeing an astronaut who is female heading for the moon, as we saw with Artemis 2, something powerful happens. And the possibility just becomes real. And that is one of the reasons I created the Female Space Founders Project, which I will share with you just in a moment. I wanted to make visible the women who are actively building the future of space, because visibility creates belief, and belief creates participation. So ultimately, inclusion is not about create more opportunities for people to see themselves in these industries, regardless of their background, because the future of space and technology will be strongest when it is built by people with different perspectives, experiences, and ideas. So the next generation doesn't just need access to technology. They need access to possibility. And again, I believe that communication is one of the most powerful tools we have to make that happen.
Awesome. That was such a great response from Kelly, seeing people and just, explaining how space technology can be used to help, or detect forest fires, like she said, or just letting us know how climate change is affected, and as well as tracking minerals in the earth. So I think what she said is very important because some people don't actually understand um, the reason why space exploration is being done. So I love how she highlighted that. So we're going to go to question number 4, which says, looking ahead 10 to 20 years, what kind of future do you hope humanity builds through the combination of space technology, AI, and global collaboration? And what role should young innovators play in shaping it?
When I look 10 to 20 years into the future, I don't just think about the technologies we will build. I think about the kind of humanity we will become because of them. And I hope we build a future where space technology, AI, and global collaboration are used to expand opportunity, knowledge, and prosperity, not just for a select few, but for everyone. Space has always been one of those things that remind us how interconnected we truly are. When astronauts look back at Earth, they don't see borders. They see one planet. And I believe that perspective is more important than ever. So the challenges we face in the upcoming decades, whether it's climate resilience, resource management, security, so forth, it will require us to think beyond individual countries, industries, and disciplines, and they will require collaboration on a scale that we have never seen before. And AI will help us process information faster. Space technology will certainly help us understand our world better, but global collaboration is what will determine whether those tools are used wisely. And my hope is that we create a future where technology amplifies our humanity rather than distracts us from it. A future where, innovation is guided not only by what is possible, but by what is meaningful. And that is where young innovators come in. Too often, young people are told that they are the future. I don't believe that. I believe that they are already part of the present. So I recently interviewed NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman, and he stated that many of the ideas that will shape the next 20 years have not yet even been imagined. And some of them will come from people who are currently sitting in classrooms, universities, garages, startup incubators, sitting right here in this call. Their role is not to inherit the future. Their role is to help build it. So my advice to them is simple. Stay curious, learn how technology works, but also learn how people work. Be sure to develop the technical skills, but equally develop the people skills, the empathy, communication, creativity, and of course, critical thinking. I believe the greatest breakthroughs of the future will not happen at the intersection of just technology alone. They will happen at the intersection of technology and humanity, because ultimately the future isn't something that just happens to us. It is something we create together. And if we, as I already said earlier, if we combine the power of AI, the possibilities of space, and the strength of global collaboration, then I believe that the next chapter of human history can be one of the most extraordinary that we have ever written.
That was a lovely presentation or saying by Kelly. I hope we've all highlighted and absorbed the information that she shared with us. And what in the same rooms, or we'll all be in certain rooms where we'll be able to, shape the future and hopefully have some of those goals that were prepared years ago, hopefully we'll be the ones that would be able to make those realities happen. So Francis, the floor is yours. Very informative, Sarah. Very great.
All right, thank you so much, Natasha. And it has been very nice and wonderful to hear from each of our speakers speaking since the beginning of this particular webinar. So right about now, we just want to indulge everyone to turn on their camera. We would love to have a group photograph right before we proceed with the other session of this webinar. So please, I would love us to turn on our cameras. Let's smile to the cameras. Let's take a group photograph. Please, let's turn up our cameras. It would be nice to see each and every one of us. We won't take much of your time. As soon as possible, we'll be done and we'll get over with this. All right. Thank you so much, Christian. Yeah, thank you, Eglah. See you, Rachel. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, thank you. Yes, 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 yes. I'm still expecting others to turn on their camera so we can get this section off across with. So thank you so much. All right. So I want you guys to give me your best smile. Yes, give me your best smile. Yeah, your best smile there. Right. Okay, Preston, I can see that smile. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, so one more. Just hanging there for me. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Bill, I can see your message, Billy, but we are not done yet. We just want to get this over with. Yeah. Okay. So thank you. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate it. Thanks for indulging me. Yeah, with those pictures there. All right. So about now, we're going to the next section. And so we've actually seen how each and every one of us have shared our perspective about how AI can be used in communication, mentorship, and the rest, and how this particular AI is shaping the space industry, and also we collaborating with it most importantly, and not just replacing it, right? Because we cannot replace humans with AI. We still need the collaboration between two parties, and these technologies is meant to ensure us we are much more productive, right? So in this particular section now, we'll be hearing from Benedetta Facini, right? Most especially about a journey. And so in terms of resilience, preparation, and imagination required to prepare humanity, right, for life beyond Earth. So we know that this particular journey, right, it's easy to say, oh, we're going to space, right? But there's a way we have to prepare ourselves mentally up there. We have to prepare ourselves emotionally down there. So it's more like I'm just trying to understand how it feels like, and also to be able to encourage people also on this call to have the dream, right? So my very first question to you is this, right? As these analog astronaut missions, right, are becoming increasingly important in preparing humanity for future lunar and Mars exploration. From your own personal experience, right? So what are some of the most valuable lessons that these simulations teaches us, right? And surviving and striving beyond Earth. So that's the question. I maybe got that. And I also want you to tell our audience what analog astronaut mission is all about. Like, when is analog astronaut? So what does it mean? Yeah.
It's pretty easy because an analog mission is a space mission, but on Earth. We simulate a real space mission, but we are on Earth without going to space. I'm not yet an astronaut. I'm still a candidate. I am an analog astronaut. It means I did a simulation on Earth for a future missions. Almost all astronauts do some analog missions to learn how to work in a space similar environment. Because the most important lessons for me was about the human factor. You can be prepared as much as you want for a mission, but you will never know how your mind reacts to isolation and confinement, because space is not easy. You can be the most intelligent person on Earth, but your mind can abandon you immediately. For example, in my mission, we were 4 crew members. Each of us was from different countries with different language, culture, religion, and traditions. So we had to adapt to everyone daily schedule and habits. Because, for example, I had a person from the US with a different time zone, so we had to adapt also to their time zone to help you stay awake during the day and sleep during the night. So the most important lesson is that we are human and we have to work together to make a mission successful. If you don't work together, if you don't collaborate, your mission will fail. Absolutely. You can do a mission alone. You have to always be able to talk to your crew members, crewmates, and share your vision and also the problems. If I have a problem, I can talk to my crewmate about my problems, and we can try to solve it together. So the biggest lessons is the human factor. We are human. We are not robots. We are not superhumans. We are normal people doing something amazing. So working together is the most important lesson. If you are able to work in a team, you will be a very, very successful astronaut or engineer, director, everything in your work. You just need to be able to understand the other people.
Sure. All right. Thank you so much, Danita, for that. Right. So the most important lesson from what I could pick from what you said is more about collaboration, teamwork, and adaptation, like to adapt, right? Because people from different time zones, countries coming together and you need to adapt to their own times. Okay, now I think this is my time for me to be able to be awake and not to be sleeping, right? So it's more like this thing that actually prepares us for this lunar and the Mars missions to be able to collaborate as a team and always to have each other's back, right? Thank you so much for that particular wonderful lessons you shared there. All right, so the next question I'll be going on to is in terms of space exploration, right? So people see it as it's being technical, right? So there's a term we use, we say it's rocket science, right? So when people say, oh, this thing, it's rocket science, that means it's really highly technical. It's beyond what we can fathom, right? But it also demands emotional resilience, teamwork, right, and adaptability. So how do astronauts, right, and analog crews prepare mentally, right, and psychologically for isolation, right? Because you talked about you being alone, right? So an extreme environment. So how do you cope in terms of emotions and psychology in that environment?
Yeah. I can only talk about my experience, obviously, but we are not able to prepare perfectly for isolation, because you don't know how you will react to this environment until you are inside this environment. Okay, you can spend years and months preparing to be isolated, but you can't, because we are in a society. Even if you lock yourself inside your house, you are isolated, but you have your phone, your computer, your TV, so you are never isolated like in a mission or in space. So there is nothing that can prepare you like at the 100% to a scenario where you are isolated from the world. For example, I spent almost 10 days in isolation and confinement with only 4 people, and the only contact from the outside was the mission control, and we have like communication only. We had the opportunity to send one message every 20 minutes. So this is not something you can test before entering the mission. It's impossible. We are a society. So your question is how we can prepare mentally. We can't. we have to test first this isolation during analog missions, and then if we resist the analog mission, we can go to space. So the best test preparation is the mission, the analog mission itself. Like you can be
Wow.
prepared. You can be prepared to, okay, I know I will be isolated for 1 week. I'm ready, and then after 1 day you can like go crazy. Like you have to test on yourself first.
Yeah, I get it, right? Coming to look at the fact of this generation where we are all glued to our mobile phones, right? And
Yeah.
coming to take away your phone from you, I'm like, I can't survive without that. And you just
Yes.
being in an analog mission, for a place without anything, just focusing on a
Yeah.
particular problem you're about to solve. I get how that can be like, right? So
Yes.
from what you said now is more like we can't literally prepare mentally until we get there. And the
Yeah.
analog mission is like the place whereby we get prepared for the real mission
Yes.
itself. So
Yeah.
if you can
Analog mission.
resist that,
Yeah.
yeah,
Analog mission are the safest place to test isolation and confinement before going to space, because you don't want to go to space without knowing how you will react to isolation. It's very
yeah.
dangerous. So please test your mind on an analog mission first.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my advice to anyone who wants to be an astronaut here is to subscribe to the analog mission first.
Yeah.
To prepare themselves mentally for that. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. So I think because of time, I think I'll just ask you the last question. So we're just able to get straight to it. All right. So my last question to you is that as someone helping shaping the future of human space exploration, what excites you about what excites you the most, right, about the next generation of missions? And what role do you hope young people will play in that future? Yeah.
Yeah. The most exciting part is that the future, and now we have now, for example, the commercial space agencies are making space accessible to everyone, normal people, not only NASA astronauts and scientists. So the most exciting part is that I see in 10 years, even more people, normal people, common people, going to space to test their own research, and without having to be selected by a space agency. You just can apply or buy a flight to space and test your experiment, your technology, also for having fun. There is nothing wrong in wanting to go to space to have fun. But the most exciting part is that almost everyone in the near future will be able to go to space to do a research or have fun with friends and families. So, and I see young people now that want to be able to open these opportunities to everyone. I see out of agencies and non-profit organization wanting to open this space for everyone. So I see a future where maybe all of us in this call will be in space together, talking about this call today. Say, see, we are in space now, all together, having fun or doing science.
Yeah. That's a nice dream, right? It would be nice to have a webinar right here in space, and all of us is connecting to join a particular webinar in space. And one of the things that Luna is trying to do actually is actually to like bridge that particular gap of allowing space education to be accessible to everyone. So it's more like we also contributing to the community and also to the world at large. That this particular space education is not rocket science, as you say, it's accessible to everybody, and everybody can come in and participate in it, right? Because I personally myself, I want to experience spacewalking. I actually want to spacewalk, right? So it's a lot of it's a dream, right? And we are in the world of possibilities. So thank you so much, Benedetta, for your
Thank
sharing your
you.
experiences with us at the Analog Missions. We are so glad, right? Thank you so much. So I think
Thank you.
about now I will be giving it over to Natasha to take us on to the next session. Thank you, Natasha. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Francis and astronaut Benny. Who knows? We could be having our next webinar in space. Thank you so much for highlighting a
Sure.
bit on, space tourism. It would be great to actually host a webinar in space one day. So we are going to go to the next segment. We will go to segment number 4, which is Future Ready, AI and the Evolution of Space Education. So from conversation to experience, we now move into a live AI demonstration that showcases how innovation is transforming the way we interact with science, space, and the future itself. The amazing Pristine and Eglah will have a live demonstration and as well as a presentation to explore more and to explain about AI and the evolution of space education. So you can take it from there, and thank you. Francis, may you open the presentation as well?
Oh, all right, yes. Can they give me the name of the presentation precisely? What's the name of the presentation?
We'll start with the Future Ready, and then the one for virtual one will be the last, the one I'll be presenting.
Okay, Future Ready. Okay. Okay. 1 minute, please. To be up in a moment.
Thank you very much. So I will be sharing about AI through the communications lens. Let me just share my screen. There we go. So I would like to start with a simple idea that AI in space education is not about replacing curiosity, it's about scaling it. So as you already know, we are living in a moment where the space sector is exploding in size and in complexity. The global space economy reached around 626 billion US dollars in 25, growing about 7.8% from the previous year, and nearly 80% of that is now commercial activity. So that means more satellites, more launch providers, more downstream applications, more startups, more acronyms, more reports, and more noise in general. So for students, educators, and communicators, this creates a paradox. We have more information more than ever before, and yet it has never been harder to see the whole picture. So this is where AI becomes a powerful ally in space education, not as an oracle, but as an aggregator, a pattern finder, and a thinking partner. So in the new space era, information is everywhere and nowhere at the same time. So if you are a student trying to understand who is actually building what in orbit, or an educator trying to prepare a lesson, you can easily drown in tabs. So the core problem is not access to information anymore. The problem is aggregation, synthesis, and verification. So AI tools, large language models, search assistants, and data extraction tools can certainly help us by pulling, scattered information into one place, summarizing long reports, generating first drafts of materials. And this is where my communication brain kicks in. But if we stop at that first draft, we risk turning education into misinformation at scale. So let's talk about what AI does well in this context. So aggregation. AI can scan multiple sources, news, reports, websites, etc., and give you a synthesized overview of, for example, key trends in the global space economy, major players in Earth observation, etc. So instead of spending 3 hours collecting links, you can spend 3 minutes asking better questions. We go to the second one, structure and complexity. So yes, AI can help you turn raw notes into lesson plans. It can transform bullet points into slides and convert a research that is messy into something that's clean. And last but not least, lowering the barrier to entry. So for students who are new to space, AI can help explain orbital mechanics in simpler language, compare different space careers, and just translating technical jargon into everyday language. So yes, AI is incredibly useful, but usefulness without responsibility is dangerous. So as a communications expert, I want to stress this very clearly. AI can be confidently wrong, and if we don't fact check, we become confidently wrong with it. So in a sector as strategic and high stakes as space, this matters. So when we share wrong numbers about launch rates, when we share misleading claims about capabilities or inaccurate statistics about representation, we don't just make a small mistake. We shape the public perception, we influence policy conversations, and we also affect how young people see their place in this field. So here's a discipline I want to invite you into. Use AI to gather and structure information, but use humans to verify and interpret it. And that means checking numbers against primary sources. So look at different space agency reports, reputable foundations, official statistics. You need to verify company claims on their official channels. And you need to be transparent with students about what is confirmed and what is still emerging. So AI can accelerate your research, but it cannot replace your responsibility. Now I want to walk you through a concrete step-by-step example that you can replicate in your own teaching or in your own field. So you all have done this before, but I'm going to share it anyway, just in case there's someone who has not. So if you're using AI, whatever platform you choose, Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude. So let's say I want to create an infographic on female founders in space companies. So step one is to define the question clearly, and it needs to be clear. So instead of asking AI something vague, like tell me about women in space, I would ask something more specific, like help me identify notable female founders or co-founders of space or new space companies globally and group them by region and company type. So this already nudges the AI to think in categories and not just names. So step two is you would ask AI for a structured list. So I might say, create a table with the founder's name, the company name, the country, the segment, and maybe a one-line description of what the company does. And then with that, I have a first draft data set. Step three, I would then not stop there. I would verify with primary sources, and this is the crucial part. So for each founder and company, I would check the company's official website. I would confirm the founder's role and title on LinkedIn, for example, and then I would cross-check any statistics with reputable databases or reports. So definitely if AI says X is the founder of Y, I don't trust it. I treat it as a lead, not a fact. So if we go to step four, you then need to refine that narrative. So once I have the verified data, I go back to AI and I say, using this verified list, help me draft 3 key messages for an infographic. And then after that, I can suggest a simple visual layout for this infographic, the title, the sections, etc. And now I have a storyboard for my infographic. And if we go to the last step, design and humanize, at this point, I would move into a design tool. I use Canva, but you can use whatever you use. And then I turn that structure into visuals. Add photos where appropriate and permitted, and then just make sure that every number has a source. So the final result is not AI's infographic. There's too many of those out there, as we know. You can say that once you've done these steps, that it is my infographic, informed by AI, grounded in verified facts. And that's the model that I want you to remember. AI for speed and structure, humans for truth and meaning. And I actually did this. There it is. I'm calling it the Female Space Founders Project. and it will officially launch on LinkedIn tomorrow. So you are among the first to hear about it. But the project was born from a simple observation that information about women building space companies is incredibly scattered. I wanted to create a single place where these founders could be discovered, recognized, and celebrated, a collective effort by and for our global space community. So if you want to contribute, please do. But what I discovered during this exercise was fascinating and a little concerning. So when I asked AI to identify female space founders, and let's focus on just one part of it, which let's focus on the founders' names. It was approximately 45% wrong. So some names were incorrect, some founders were missing entirely, and in several cases, the people identified were not women at all. So you cannot trust AI. So if I had simply accepted the output without verifying it, those errors would have become part of the story. And this is how misinformation spreads, not necessarily through bad intentions, but through a lack of verification. And that is why projects like this matter. This is why checking facts matters. Every founder included was manually researched and verified on this list, and it's not the exhaustive list, I know. But it's also why I believe that in an increasingly AI-driven world, human judgment is becoming more valuable, not less. You know, AI is an extraordinary tool for speed, structure, and synthesis, but truth, context, and meaning still require human expertise. So my encouragement to all of you is this: use AI to accelerate your work, but never outsource your critical thinking. Always verify, always question, and always apply human insight before turning information into action. So we are entering a decade where the space economy is projected to grow more rapidly than it already is. But at the same time, students are using AI tools daily, often without guidance. And as we already know, misinformation can travel quite fast. So the question is not, should we use AI in space education? The question is, how do we use it well? And I'm not going to go through all of these here, but you will be getting these slides later. But just an overview, teach AI as a research assistant and not a source of truth. You know, always ask, where did this come from and can I verify it? Build assignments that require citation of primary sources. So if a student uses AI to gather information, ask them to show at least 2 original sources for each claim. Use AI to personalize learning paths. Make sure that you let the students ask AI to explain the same concept at different levels, whether it's beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And of course, model your own process. Show your students how you use AI to draft and check and show how you fact checked and refine it. And this goes for, you know, teachers, students, and folks in the industry alike. So, coming to a closing, I want to end with the same spirit I bring into my work in communications and in space. We are not just teaching facts about orbits and rockets, we are teaching how to think in a complex, accelerating world. So we know what AI can do for us, but it's up to us to ask better questions, check the facts, and tell the story responsibly. So here's my invitation to you. If you are an educator, try one lesson with this term where you co-create with AI, then walk your students through how you verified everything. If you are a student, use AI boldly, but never passively. Be sure to challenge it, cross-check it, and let it make you more curious, but not more complacent. And if you are already in the space sector, consider how your organization can use AI to open up your data, your stories, and your impact to the next generation without compromising on accuracy. Because in this new era of space, the people who will shape the future are not the ones with the most data. They are the ones who know how to question it, curate it, and communicate it. So thank you so much for your attention. I am sorry that I cannot be there to answer your questions, but if you have any questions, please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. Just find me at Kelly Keodara or on my Instagram at Sparks with Kelly. Now, I was provided with one question in advance, so I'm going to answer that now. Let me find it. All right. So the question is, with missions like the Artemis 2 program reigniting global excitement about returning humans to deep space, what do you think this new era of exploration represents for humanity? Well, I believe this new era of exploration represents something much bigger than simply going back to the moon. For me, it represents a shift in mindset. So, as we already said, for decades, space exploration was largely the domain of governments and a handful of national space agencies. But today we are entering an era where space is becoming a global ecosystem, one that includes entrepreneurs, startups, researchers, educators, investors, artists, communicators, you name it. So the moon is no longer the finish line. It is becoming the starting point. And what excites me most about Artemis is not just the mission itself, but what it symbolizes. It signals that humanity is once again willing to think long term. We are choosing to invest in ambitious goals that may take years or even decades to achieve. And in a world that often focuses on immediate results, that is incredibly powerful. And I also believe that this era of exploration is more representative of humanity than previous generations of spaceflight. We are seeing greater international collaboration, greater diversity of voices, and just greater participation from people who may never have seen themselves reflected in the space industry before. And that matters because exploration has never been just about discovering new places. It is about discovering what we are capable of when we work together. And when I look at Artemis, I don't just see a spacecraft traveling to the moon. I see a global reminder that some challenges are worth pursuing precisely because they are difficult. And I see proof that curiosity remains one of humanity's greatest strengths. And most importantly, I see an opportunity to inspire the next generation. So somewhere a young person is watching these missions unfold and imagining a future for themselves that they had never considered before. And, they may become an astronaut, an engineer, a communicator in science, or something entirely new that doesn't even exist yet. And that is a real legacy of exploration. The technologies will evolve, the emissions will come and go, but the belief that humanity can reach beyond what is known, solve impossible problems, and build a future together, that is what endures. And I think Artemis represents the beginning of that next chapter. So thank you very much for having me, and thank you for the questions. I look forward to connecting with you all.
We will just have Pristine briefly tell us about her virtual moon presentation, and then the floor is for the attendees, for the audience. Pristine, ready when you are.
All right, waiting for Francis.
All right. So
All right, thank you. Everyone can see, right?
yes.
So, as you can see, that's virtual moon. I'm an ambassador and space architect, researcher for the Lunar City. We'll see it in the presentation I'll give it very brief because of time. But virtual moon is a fully immersive VR experience of the moon designed for education, exploration, and inspiration. Students do an headset and step on the lunar surface, guided by the AI-powered instructors through real science and engineering concepts. So basically, mostly if we are trying to have every person have this experience, but now it has to be with the headset. So anyone who has a headset, a VR headset, will be able to see the simulation of the moon. Our mission is to reach out to every school child we can and to inspire them about our future as a spacefaring civilization using this very unique VR experience of the moon. When Virtual Moon is fully built and Selene is also built, it will include the Lunar Academy virtual labs. The virtual labs will be fully immersive and fully interactive. We'll use AI teacher or guides to encourage and guide students as they learn about different topics like gravity, astrobiology, atoms, and molecules, robotics, etc. Each one has its own dedicated lab with a built-in AI instructor or guide. I'm finished there. So we have the Lunar City. Selene City. We can go to the Selene. Francis. Is the 6th slide, I think. So Selene is not just a simulation. It is a fully lunar city, entirely managed and maintained by AI, artificial intelligence. From life support to energy grids, every system runs on AI, offering students a living lesson in sustainable space engineering. So a Selene AI avatar will be available to give people tours of the city and of the engineering systems that make it all work. So we can go to how it all fits together. 8th slide. Sorry, Francis, I'm going very fast because of time. Slide number 8. Sorry. There. So you can see the structure. You enter the virtual moon. That means put on the VR headset, and then you begin the journey. We have our website. So in the VR, I wish we had one, but in the VR you can enter, and then there is a website. You just enter in the website, and then you can start viewing. You'll see the 3D of the moon, and then you start exploring. You can move. We are still working on how you can be able to feel like maybe touching the sand or touching the stones that are there, but you can vividly see the earth. You can see the sun, and you can see the landing, the Apollo 11 landing. And also, again, you can go to the labs now as they're going to be built. You can navigate to the labs and then probably graduate to Selene. So we have this thing that after the city is built, like you can also own land in the moon. I know it sounds funny, but yeah, you can also own. We'll have a currency. Our currency will be called Luna. So if you want also to own a certain space in the moon, around the Selene city, you can own it, and then you can also start building your own stuff and stuff like that. It's all, yeah, just fun. But why this matters for schools? Virtual Moon aligns with STEM curricula while going for beyond them. Students don't just read about gravity. Now they'll be able to feel it, and they don't just study robotics, they program it while they're there. Right? If anyone wants to join, please visit us, as it's the website is there. You can also become an ambassador, and the benefit that comes with an ambassador is that you're given 1,000 square units of a piece of of land in the mall. So again, in the future, if you want to make money, you can sell it as an ambassador. You already have 1,000 square units. So yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pristine, for that. Now imagine owning a piece of land in the moon. I currently understand what she's talking about, the virtual reality, the virtual reality headsets, and just experiencing all these moon landings. It's very interactive. It's a great opportunity for us all to join as well. So for more questions, you can always contact her on LinkedIn. But for now, we are going to go into our Q&A section. So if our audience has any questions for any speaker, please feel free to unmute and ask, or to type your question in the chat box. We did have a question from, I believe it was Sarah. So just feel free to just repeat the question and to ask our speakers the same question. Okay, I will just say the question. It says, okay, it says, what courses can I pursue to enhance my knowledge in space education, and where can I avail them? Any of the speakers, please feel free to answer the question.
I
Yes.
can say,
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there are some opportunities from NASA. It's called NASA Open Science, and there are two classes. It's totally free, and at the end you have certificates that you can add to your curriculum. So it's very interesting. It's more about how to study NASA data, but it's very, very, very interesting.
Thank you so much for that, astronaut Benny. So like she said, NASA Open Science. So during your free time, feel free to just check that, to Google it. Any other question?
Yeah, I think we have one here from Ava, right? So it was asking about the AI Copilot for education that is being demoed, right? Yeah, but
Sorry,
yeah.
Francis. I think
Okay.
I would want to add on. There is this platform called for United Nations Outer Space Agency, UNOSA. They also have like free trainings. You can just keep up with them on their social media, and you have like a wide range of access to data and information, even if you're doing your research. I think that's a good platform to also like learn from. And as always, you can always see these other learning tools like the Coursera, like they have courses from like experts, professors from like top universities. I think that will be, but like Coursera is not like free for the courses if you want to get to learn and get your certificates. But yeah, you can just keep an eye on these space related companies on their socials. They always share those learning opportunities.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Eglah. And to add on to that, like she said, there's Coursera, there's edX, and as well as AIAA. They have so many programs. Unfortunately, the ones that I know of, they're not free. So you do have to pay. And then they also have accredited programs. You can pursue your master's degree or your PhD through online participation. So thank you so much for adding that, Francis. Like I said, or as we all said, edX, Coursera, AIAA, and UNOSA. So feel free to Google them, find out course programs that you're interested in. And they do accommodate a lot of people that work or if you're a student just eager to learn. Are there more questions?
Yeah, there's one from Ava here talking about the AI copilot that was demoed by Pristine and Eglah. Yeah, about the Renva. Like, is it developed or is it theoretical concept?
Oh, actually, it's being developed. It's not like a theoretical concept. It's actually works. So we had our other prototypes and we did our pilot testing. So now it's in that process. That's why we cannot like share the final product yet because it's part of the Reva Aerospace. It's like an also like space edtech platform as well. So once it's launched, we are going to like share. I hope Miss Natasha, if every one of you who have joined us will still keep in touch, then when it's properly functional, all of you have an access to it. And we are trying our best to make it free and accessible for everyone. So just stay in touch, and this is like we can network always. We can always like share updates with everyone of you when it's ready.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Eglah. So I believe that our last question is from Sarah. She's asking Pristine, how can one become an ambassador?
We'll share in our website. I'm going to share the website in the chat. There is a place where you can just sign in if you want to be an ambassador.
Okay, thank you so much, Pristine. And, this concludes the end of our webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. And may you follow us on our social media platforms. We have LinkedIn. We will share the links for you in the chats. We have LinkedIn. We also have a website as well so that you can, stay up to date with what we're doing. We also have YouTube. So expect the videos that we've been hosting to be posted on our YouTube channel. And we will be having a webinar as well. We will announce that as well on LinkedIn. And I believe Francis has added our website link and as well as our LinkedIn details in the chat. And I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your morning, your afternoon, and your evening. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Natasha, for hosting, and thank you, Francis, for hosting and for having us. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And our lovely speakers, thank you so much for joining on time as well. Thank you, Eglah. Thank you, Pristine. Thank you, Benny. And as well as Kelly, who joined us virtually. So like I said, expect our videos to be uploaded on our social media platforms. And yeah, you'll be up to date with what we're doing, and as well as our next workshops and our webinars. And Pristine has shared the link to the Virtual Moon Reality app. So yeah. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Bye, Pristine. Thank you.